Atomic habits help you build better habits. The power of positive habits helps you build a better life.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm your host, Justin Roethlingshoefer. And again, if it is your first time here, I just want to thank you for leaning into the Own It Show as your place to educate, empower, and equip yourself to take ownership of your health. And today, I am so blessed with who's joining me today in the studio down here in Miami, because you guys have heard a lot of his stories. You've heard a lot of his anecdotes. You've heard a lot of his impact in my life on this show. And being able to have this man in studio is so amazing. He is not only an author, he is not only a speaker, but he is a man of God and an incredible husband and father who has impacted millions around the world with his work. And so, Jon Gordon, it is so good to have you here. And I just am so appreciative that you made the stop.
Man, it's great to be at the Health Haven. I love this place. This is awesome.
It's cool, right?
Oh yeah, it's special.
We're going to have you leaving here different. That's the promise. That's the promise. You came in with a little bit of...
Can we get rid of this hip feeling?
Yes, you got a little bit of hip pain. And I tell you,
pain?
You're going to walk out of here and you're going to be like, something just happened. It's magic. Holy Spirit, guide me. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm ready for that.
So good. Jon, what I'd love for you to do, just for a couple people on our show that may be kind of like, hey, kind of help me understand your body of work, because you've been the positive guy for a long time. You've been the leadership guy for a long time. You just wrote a book, The One Truth, that it was transformative in thinking about integration and holisticness and completeness and oneness. And we'll get into the new book, The Power of Positive Habits. But just where did this body of work really come to life for you?
Well, I would say it all started out of my pain, out of my suffering, out of my negativity, my despair. I had lost my job during the dot-com crash, and this was 2001. Didn't know how I was going to pay the bills. Didn't know how I was going to support my family. And I felt like such a failure. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of worry, a lot of stress. And I just wasn't mentally healthy. And my wife had enough of my negativity. She said, I love you, but I'm not going to spend my life with someone who makes me so miserable. You need to change. We're over. Like, she gave me a wake-up call.
Like it was a true ultimatum.
Oh, yeah. She was going to leave. She had had enough. She was at her breaking point. Because here I was blaming her for why I've not lived up to my dreams, why I wasn't realizing my potential. It was her fault I haven't achieved success. And I was trying to achieve success because in my 20s, I was a success. I was a mover and shaker in Atlanta. I was making things happen, opening businesses and so forth. And then at 31, everything just came crumbling down. I had to lose everything to find who I truly was. Sometimes you have to hit that bottom to know that God is the rock at the bottom. And you have to realize that you don't realize God is all you need until God is all you got.
That's great.
And so I really needed God in that moment. And so that brought me to my knees. It brought me to a place where I said, Catherine, just please stay and I'll change. And I began researching all the ways I could be more positive. This was during the emerging field of positive psychology. So I'm researching these ideas. And one was, you can't be stressed and thankful at the same time.
Yep.
If you're feeling grateful, if you're feeling blessed, you won't feel stressed. So I began taking what I call thank you walks. I coined the term gratitude walks. And I began walking every day and practicing gratitude because I was a walker, but then I added gratitude to that. And I got to tell you, I felt a shift in my spirit. I felt a change after a couple of days of doing this. You know, one day doesn't do much, but you start doing it day in and day out, I started to feel it. And my wife noticed a shift in me as I was taking these walks of gratitude. It's so funny, Justin, because I began writing about what I was doing. I asked at that time, what am I born to do? Why am I here? And writing and speaking kept on coming to me. What am I going to write and speak about? Well, start by sharing what you're doing to get better yourself. I was on a quest to get better myself, which led to a mission to help others get better. And so I began sharing these things that I was doing and researching. And this was during e-newsletters, like they just were beginning. Now everyone has an e-newsletter. I was one of the first to have one in 2001, 2002. I started this e-newsletter of positive tips. It's wild because I was sharing these tips and strategies and habits of what I was doing back then and how I was changing and how it was helping me and what people could do to help themselves. here we are full circle more than 20 years later, and I'm writing The Power of Positive Habits. It's coming out here in May 19th. And now people are going to have a collection of habits that I've been doing over the last 20 years that I've helped countless people do throughout the years of through my writings and my talks and books and so forth. And then also new ideas, new habits that I've learned and wanted to share. And some of those new habits have come from you because I said, hey, Justin, give me a couple of the best physical health tips that I could share with people because I'm an expert of the mind, but I'm not an expert of the body and what you can do. And you are. And I just love it because I quote you in the book several times. I'm like, well, as my friend Justin Roethlingshoefer, the premier health expert and health coach says, it's great that I'm like sharing your tip in there, which it weaves in beautifully. And you gave me such great insights. And I started doing some of the things that you told me to put in the book because I said, give me a top 10.
Yep.
And I started doing those things like the squatting like a child.
Yep. Deep squat.
Man, game changer.
Yep.
Game changer. Like the dead hang. I mean, I'm doing that every single day now and I'm getting stronger and better and healthier. So these tips are real. They're transformative. The deep squat, I could not get down past a chair. I could not get lower than that. And now I can get all the way to the ground.
It's amazing.
By doing it every single day, and I'm feeling more flexible. Now my hips bother me a little bit, but it has nothing to do with the squats. But if I go do a squat right now, I'll actually feel better. I've just been driving for a couple hours up and down 95 in the Miami area, going to the Heat game, going to speak in West Palm, coming back to see you. But other than that, like I'm feeling better than ever doing these tips. So now these habits that I share have to do with mindset habits, the way we think, because thinking is a habit.
Yes.
And if you have great mindset habits and great thinking habits, you will elevate your mind, you will elevate your soul, you will elevate your performance, what you create, you'll elevate your leadership, your relationships. Everything, as we know, begins in the mind. But then there's also leadership habits in the book. There's relational habits, there's career habits, and there's habits to build a great team. There's habits for your health. So there's a series of habits, 93 total habits that I wrote that I believe will elevate you exponentially, not just in a normal average way, but exponentially. And I don't think everyone's going to do all 93.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
Yep.
You're supposed to pick a couple that resonate most with you, that come from the core and the essence of who you are, of what you know you need in your life. Because when you read this, it's going to speak to you.
Yep.
It's going to tell you what you need and which ones you should focus on. And then through our free workbook that we're actually giving out, through our PhD, Positive Habits Developer, we're offering people.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, PhD, Positive Habits Developer. We're actually giving that free to those who initially joined the book launch. And when you actually read the book, you'll put in your habits and it will give you a 30-day plan to implement those habits in your life. So we're doing that as well. So the whole goal is to get people to partake in positive habits that elevate you. I'm not the guy who's going to help you grow your business with KPIs, with all these techniques and strategies to grow your business. I know that's not me. I'm the guy who's going to elevate you.
Yeah.
And if I can elevate you, you will then elevate your business, you'll elevate your career, your life, and you'll elevate everyone who is around you and everyone connected to you. That's the whole point of this. So this long answer to your question about this journey, it's been a journey of starting out wanting to get better myself, putting these ideas and habits into practice, prayer being one of them. Those walks of gratitude turn into walks of prayer. And the more I've worked on healing me and becoming more healthy and whole, the more I've been able to be someone who is helping others do the same. And I wanted to write this book to help people take ownership and also take action.
I love that. There's something that you said that I want to come back to because you talked about the gratitude walks that you originally did. And I think oftentimes what happens is people get so fixated on the habit itself or the discipline itself, but you are literally living examples of the shift of what doing the discipline consistently does.
Yes.
And that's the goal, is to become somebody new in this process, to become somebody new in this journey. And it's almost like you've taken everything you've done yourself, the way you've lived, the way that you've studied this, researched this, found this, and then implemented it. You've been a lifelong learner. And I think that's what I love most about you is you not only have been a lifelong learner, but you are embodying what it is that you speak about. You're embodying what it is that you do. And it creates this environment that others are able to now go and do that as well.
Yeah, it's more about what you're becoming than what you're doing. And what you're doing helps you become who you're meant to be and become the greatest version of yourself. More than optimizing it. I know you don't love the term optimizing. It's actually growing into who you're meant to be more fully,
Amen.
more abundantly,
Yep.
more powerfully,
That's great.
more courage, more confidence, a greater belief, a greater mindset. One of my habits is taking the time to pray. I talk about prayer as connecting and communing with your creator. When you take the time to connect and commune with your creator, you become one spirit with him. Corinthians 6:17. He who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. Well, guess what? His power becomes your power. His love becomes your love. His healing becomes your healing. His genius becomes your next great idea. Every time you pray, you are actually different because you're spending time with the eternal creator of the universe. And when you are within that spirit, when you're part of that spirit, when you're being, I would say, I feel like you're being submerged. I use it like an analogy, like you get this ice cube and you're putting it in the ocean, and now the ice cube melts and you become one with the ocean, one with God's spirit. Well, it transforms you, it renews you, it heals you, it restores you. Romans 12:2, right? Don't be conformed by the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew? The Spirit renews and recharges you, but you have to make time to connect with that spirit. So these habits are transformative in so many ways, from physical habits to our mindset habits to the power of prayer. And it's funny because I wanted this book to be more of a secular book, but I still had to put prayer in there because I would be doing people a disservice if I didn't put that in. Because if I'm going to help you optimize, if I'm going to help you become fully who you're meant to be, then prayer is the way you do that.
1,000%. I love that. The thing that I think is really cool about this, even as we started to talk about how everything kind of integrates, I had this, I put this post up probably, oh gosh, I don't know, 8 months ago, because I had this revelation. And it started in the airport where I saw this man. I didn't know how old he was at the time, but he was older.
Right.
And I saw him literally holding a low squat,
Okay.
holding onto a chair, like one of the chairs in the airport, just holding a low squat. Then he went and he got on both knees and stood up, both knees and stood up. He did it 10 times. Then he laid on his back, got on his elbow, pushed himself up to a stand, did it 3 times on each side. Then he did a reverse lunge, 5 on each side.
Okay.
And then he held a push-up plank. And I said, sir, tell me about like what you're doing right now. And because I was fascinated. I was like, I'm usually the crazy one doing that, but I'm 37 years old.
Right.
And I came up to this guy, I said, sir, tell me what you're doing. He goes, oh, I do this every single day, whether I'm at home, whether I'm on the road, whether I'm flying, no matter where it is, I do it every single day. But this morning, it was a 6 a.m. flight. I didn't have time to do it at my hotel before I left, so I did it here at the airport. I said, tell me about these 5 movements that you just did. He goes, well, if I'm able to do all 5 of these movements, that means right up until the day I die, I'll be able to do all 5 of these movements.
That's awesome.
And I said, my goodness, would you mind telling me how old you are? He's like, I'm 88 years old.
Come on.
And I was just like, that right there is the fruit and the evidence of becoming the thing.
Yes.
And I was like, it's not about the fitness that you're doing. Yes, that's a part of it in a different area, but this is just movement, wellness, and ability to be able to do things. And that's, I think, what's so powerful about even those 2 habits that you talked about, from the deep squat and the dead hang and some of those things. Like, that is just what this is who are you becoming and what's the vision that you have for who God's put on your heart to become, and what are you doing to ultimately make that happen?
And every habit I put in the book is something that I want you to do and you should be able to do for the rest of your life.
Yes.
It's not meant to be a habit. It's meant to be a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's not meant to be something like that you just go through the motions with. It's actually something that becomes a part of your pattern, a part of your soul, a part of who you are. And that's the beauty of this. As I said, there's 93 habits, but you're not supposed to do them all. You pick the ones that you know you will do, and then those habits become a part of you.
When do you believe a habit has become a part of who you are?
Okay, that's a great question. We have all this science on habits. And my marketing guy actually, without me knowing, he wrote in ChatGPT, what's the difference between atomic habits and the power of positive habits? And it said, atomic habits help you build better habits. The power of positive habits helps you build a better life.
Wow, that's great.
So it's cool. So I didn't write this book to create this or share the science of habits. There's great books on that. The Power of Habit. There's the Atomic Habits. There's the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I wrote this book to share a collection of positive habits, which are what? Good habits.
Yep.
Instead of bad habits. There are bad habits that are not positive. They're negative and they destroy you. We know what those are.
Yep.
Drink too much. That's a bad habit.
Yep.
Watch too much TV. That's a bad habit. Scroll too much. That's a bad habit. Cheat on your wife. That's a bad habit.
Not awesome.
Yeah. If you're married to Catherine Gordon, it will get you killed. So that's not a great habit at all. But a positive habit adds joy to your life. It adds longevity to your life. It adds fullness to your life. It adds a passion for your life. So positive habits are key. So what do they say? 21 days to create a habit. For me, after doing something for a month, I would say 30 days, you start to actually make it a part of your life. It becomes easier and easier to do. But I did write the first habit is the habit before the habit. And the habit before the habit is actually the habit that makes it more likely to do the habit. For instance, you want to work out. Well, you put your clothes out the night before. That's the habit before the habit. So when you get up in the morning, now you're going to put on your clothes and you have less friction and less resistance to go actually work out. If you want to read at night, what do? You put your book on your pillow. So you see it in bed and you go read a little bit before bed. You do these little habits that make it more likely to engage in the habit. Because the more resistance you have, the more opportunity you have to say, nah, I'm not doing it, you're not going to do it. So especially in the beginning, the habit before the habit is a key habit.
I love that because that's actually called limbic friction. There's in the limbic part of your brain, there's this always overcoming the obstacle. And it would be like if we know that cold plunging is difficult.
Right.
You know that going and we'll use your example, getting a workout in the morning is not always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
So if you wake up in the morning and now you have to decide, what do I have to go wear? You're like, oh, that's too hard to overcome. I'm just not going to go do it.
Yep.
But now your clothes are laid out, boom, you get them on and away you go. Cold plunge, it's hard to get into. Well, what's the more likely thing that you're going to do? You're going to get into a cold plunge where you have to run the water, pour ice in, go get the ice, make sure that happens. Or you just open up a bin that's already preset to 57 degrees and you get in, you get out.
You're more likely to do it. Or let's just say, from a leadership perspective, you want to connect with 3 people on your team each day.
Great example.
So you will write down the names of those 3 people the night before, or you will have your assistant put them on your calendar, or you'll put them in your own phone calendar as reminders to go reach out to those 3 people that day. You're more likely to do it because you have the reminder, the names are in front of you, you have their email set or their text set. That's so you're ready to send that message.
That's great. I love it. I know you're so intentional with how you write your books, and every book that you write is this Holy Spirit download that you spent copious amounts of time in. I know when you asked me for a couple of my recommendations and you were out on the beach, on the balcony, you were doing your walks and you were getting them. What in these downloads, there's two parts to this question. First is the way that it flows and the order of everything. Talk to me about the intentionality behind that.
Well, for this book, it was different because it was a collection of habits.
Yep.
And I was writing them in 1 or 2 page increments. So a little different than when I write my fables and my stories. So it was quite different. I knew with this book that I was going to have to write these habits over time, over several months. Usually a book takes me about 3.5 weeks to write. For this book, I knew because they were basically like one train of thought for one habit, and you're putting everything into that one habit. And then when you're done, all right, I'll write the next habit. So I would only write maybe 2 or 3 habits a day.
Yep.
And some days I just wrote 1 habit. So as I was writing these habits, I was just writing them as I was going along. But the cool thing was when I looked at the book in general, I thought, should I organize these habits by health, by mindset, by belief, by impact on others? Because there are habits that impact others. And I was like, no, I want people to read them and just come to different habits at different times in the book. And it's almost like you don't know what to expect next as you're reading the book. It's not meant to be, oh, I'm just going to choose this health habit today. No, I want people to read the book all in one sitting, like, one habit at a time. And then as they're going through it, they're going to find, oh, I never thought about that. I'll try that. I want people to discover the habits in this book. I want them to be inspired by the different habits and what they're saying, especially the mindset habits and the thinking habits, which I just love, and how to think differently and approach things differently. When you change your mindset and you have a different habit about how you're approaching things in life and your perspective, that habit will change how you see the world and ultimately the world that you create. So at the end of it, I rearranged some habits where I thought, okay, this should go here, this one should go here. But overall, the book mostly was actually in the order that I just randomly wrote it in.
So cool. I think it's so beautiful that that's how it happened, because obviously I've had a advanced sneak peek to the book and I've gone through it, and you used this word, you said discover.
Yes.
It's the discovery of these different habits, and that's exactly been my experience through this. Is you're discovering these new things, and it starts to work in your mind, it starts to work in your heart, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to start this, I want to try this, because it hits in a different way, and it's, you never know what's around each corner, which is so unique in how this book has been done. And I think it's just so beautiful. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm sure you know this, but what's the first habit and what's the last habit that you have listed?
Well, the first one is the habit before the habit, which we
Yep.
already discussed that one. And the final one is to create an amazing funeral, which is really unique. It's about living with the end in mind, which is what Covey taught us. What is that end for all of us? It's the day that we die, the ending of our life on earth.
Yep.
And to have an amazing funeral, that would mean that you actually lived a great life. And how did I come up with that? My brother said to me, what's your goal in life? Like, what do you want to achieve with all of this? And I said, I want to create an amazing funeral. He goes, that's morbid. I said, no, it's not. I said, I want to create an amazing funeral because that means that all these people will be there and hopefully they'll be celebrating. They'll be talking about the impact that I had on their life. The fact that a lot of people will be there will mean that I made a big impact on those lives, that my life was not about me, that it was about others. Because I'm saying I want an amazing funeral and I won't get to enjoy it,
Yeah.
but I know other people will. And that is how I live life each day, knowing, okay, I want to make an impact. I want to leave a legacy. I want to be able to encourage people. I know people are going to tell stories. What kind of stories are they going to tell? And I want to make sure I'm living my life in a way that people are telling good stories and have good stories to tell of the things I did, the things I said, and how I impacted them. That's just being intentional with your life, because you can have people tell bad stories about you.
Yep.
And a lot of people are going to have that at the end of their life. And I don't want that to be my life. Now, of course, there's going to be some people who will say, yeah, well, John, that one time told me off. And yes, that probably happens. But for the most part, the 95% of those stories, I want to be positive. And if I told you off, maybe I had a good reason to do so.
I love it. I love it. What do you want people to experience when reading this book?
I want them to be inspired. I want them to be encouraged that they can do this. That's the beautiful thing about this book. These habits are simple, but powerful. And you can do any and all of these habits. I would say 99% of people can do these habits. Even if you have some health issues, maybe you shouldn't do if you have a shoulder injury, you probably shouldn't do the dead arm hang. But for most people, you can do these habits. So I want you to be able to also take action. And I want people to feel empowered that they can take action. And then I want them to feel a conviction that, you know what? I can live a better life. I could do more. I can actually take my life to the next level. I don't have to be average. I could actually put this into practice to be great. One of the habits is don't let the good get in the way of the great.
Yep.
Don't let the good get in the way of the great. Because so often we go through life, yeah, it's good. it's good. Yeah, this is good. That's good. And I really believe that good whispers to you on your deathbed, you could have been so much more. You could have been so much more, but you settled. You played it safe. You didn't go after it. You settled for the life that was easy instead of the challenge of becoming all that you're meant to become, pursuing something great, pursuing something that was in your heart and soul. You could have settled for an easy, average life, but you have chosen to be great. And I'm pointing to you because I know you have, and you've chosen that. You've made a choice. So don't let the good get in the way of the great. And so I hope people will read this and be challenged by it and say, there's more for me to do. There's more for me to become, and it doesn't have to be hard. I just have to start putting these positive habits into practice.
It's so good. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you saw Jon's passion come out there. You saw him come alive. Hopefully, if you're listening via audio, you could just sense that and tell that as well. I'm curious. Don't let the good get in the way of the great. That's one of the habits.
Yep.
There's a few others that I read through there that like hit the heart for me.
Oh, yeah.
What was your experience as God downloaded these to you that lit you up like the one that you just talked about?
I think it was my best writing that I was writing because it was flowing through me and I was passionate about what I was writing. And I was also telling stories as I was remembering my own journey in my own life and telling stories to bring these habits to life, which I really liked. When I talked about forgiving fast, I think that's one of my most powerful habits.
That was the one that hit me
in the book. Sometimes our greatest challenge to our health and wellness is not the foods we're eating, but what we're holding on to.
So good.
And what we're holding on to, the bitterness, the anger, the wrongs of the past, is actually poisoning us from the inside out. And so we have to let go of that. And we have to let go of that bitterness and anger. And we have to forgive. We have to forgive fast. And that's the way you do it. And I had to forgive my biological father. And I talked about that in the book, how when I began writing at 31 years old, I asked what I was born to do, and I knew writing and speaking was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And yet I couldn't write because I was holding on to a lot of anger. I didn't know that. I was not forgiving. I didn't know that. But something came to me that I had to go visit my biological father and forgive him. I wasn't even a Christian yet. But I went up and I forgave him. He never came to my wedding, left when I was a year old, was not a great father, was never really committed to me and my brother. So we did not have a great relationship and dynamic with him, but I forgave him. And it wasn't for him. I wasn't doing it for him.
Yeah.
I was doing it for me because I wanted to be free. And holding on to that anger and bitterness is like grabbing hot coal with the intent at throwing it at someone else. You're the one who's getting burned. And yeah, you want to throw it. Yeah, you're angry. You want them to feel what you have felt, and yet you're burning yourself in the process. And forgiving fast is just releasing it.
So good.
And so I came back from that experience of forgiving him, and I didn't realize this until recently. That's when I actually started writing when I came back from that trip. I couldn't write before, but I was able to write afterwards. I had to let go of the old to create the new.
So good.
And that's why one of the habits is don't let old battles, keep you from new victories. We get stuck fighting the battles of the past that we're not meant to fight anymore. We got to let that go so we can create something amazing and something new. And the more you forgive fast, the sooner you start growing. And so I was convicted as I wrote this, Justin, because I realized, wow, I forgave him. I started writing. If I would have forgiven sooner and faster, I would have started growing much faster and much sooner. How much more growth could I have had if I would have forgiven faster? And so the faster you forgive, the sooner you start growing. And it's a great lesson because I know so many people who are holding on, and you really can't grow. You can't really become all you're meant to be if you're holding on to all of that stuff. And you can work out every day and you can train and you can eat right. And yet if you still have that bitterness within you, you're not going to be as healthy or as whole as you're meant to be. And that also made me think about forgiveness and love. Like I thought about my kids and how no matter what they do, I forgive them. Have you noticed that like people who have kids, they always forgive their kids. They forgive them for everything. Your parents, all the crazy stuff that you put them through, and yet they kept forgiving you. If someone else would have done that to them, they would never talk to them again. But as parents, we always forgive our kids. Like, it's like they could literally, my daughter, I hate you, Dad. I hate you. I hate you. Still forgive her. Right? My son put us through hell. Still forgive him. It's because God forgives us. And why does he forgive us? Because he unconditionally loves us. And we forgive our kids because we unconditionally love them. So forgiveness is actually an expression of unconditional love. So when you're forgiving, you're expressing unconditional love within your soul. You're expressing that to others. And that makes you more like Jesus when you do that. And that connects you to God. So if you're not forgiving, you can't connect to God and you can't become all you're meant to be. When you do forgive and you express unconditional love in that connection, that's when you become whole. That's when you become truly healed. And that's why Jesus says to forgive how many times? 7 times 70. Which really those no, it's both ways in the Bible. But the reason why he said that, it was to express infinity.
Yep.
It's about infinity. Forgiving infinitely all the time. So forgive fast. It also works really good in traffic.
Yes.
Yeah. As I drive home from Miami back to Jacksonville after this talk, I will be in a lot of traffic, I imagine.
A lot of forgiveness.
And I will be releasing the hot coal quite often on the road.
It's so
when,
good.
When someone cut me off the other day as I was going to the Miami Heat game, I watched this car literally go zig in and out, like totally cut me off, almost hit me, and then almost hit 2 other cars and was going in and out. And at first I was angry, but then I was watching this car maneuver and I was really impressed. I could not believe how good of a driver this guy was. I'm like, man, this is amazing. This guy should be an Indy, 500 Indy car driver, racer. I was blown away. So I moved from forgiveness right away and enjoyed the ride the rest of the way. Now, if I wasn't forgiving fast, I'd be like, that guy, can't believe he did that. He cut me off. And people live their lives like that every single day. No, forgive fast, let it go.
So good. I know you've kind of guided us on this track a little bit, but as you were writing this, I was going to say top 3, but you've already given us 4 or 5. But what are your top 5 that, as you were writing, you were like, man, these are the ones that have convicted me that I want to move with, that have really moved my soul?
Wow. It's hard to pick, just say, okay, well, I'm going to pick 5, but definitely mastering your mornings was something that I said, you know what? I got to do a better job of mastering my mornings and creating my day from the beginning and not allowing my day to create me. Stop getting on the phone, John, and scrolling. Go through your habits in the morning to create your life. So mastering your morning is one of the key habits that I think is essential. The success journal is something that I have done over the years and I just love, and I really think everyone could do it. And it's so simple. It's just to begin writing down your success of the day. So at night, you just write down the one great thing that happened that day. That programs your mind to focus on the success and to look for it in the course of your day. And what you look for, you find. What you focus on shows up more in your life. So by doing this every night, what happens? You will start to experience more success in your life. And if you don't believe that this works, I want you to look for blue cars on the road today. You will start seeing more blue cars on the road because you're looking for it. So let's start looking for the success, document it, and focus on it. So I really love that simple habit, which is really powerful. One of the ones that I wrote that really challenges me is to make sure that I am valuing everyone and truly value everyone. Like not just the person that could help you and give you things, but the person who can't help you in any capacity in any way, but just to decide to value them. And the story of the famous singer I met while valuing them when I didn't know they were famous is really a great story. I'm not going to tell it now. Read the book. I think it's my favorite story that I've been telling lately. And I just loved it because I had no idea this guy was a famous musician. And something just told me, you know what? It's not about you, John. Value him. And I did. Turns out he's a famous musician, and we wound up having a great relationship as a result of me deciding to value him. And also Marlo, who's been with me now for 8 years, she was my Uber driver in Phoenix when I was there speaking to the Los Angeles Dodgers during spring training. And she picked me up, took me to the airport, had a nice conversation, and I just valued her and her story. And now she's been a really valuable team member all these years.
Awesome.
And that's the result of valuing people. So I think that's really important. I love building your team because no one creates success alone. So there's a habit there of of building your team. And that is intentional. You need to do this every single day because a big dream with a bad team, that's a nightmare.
Yep.
That is a nightmare. And if your dream is a 10, but your team is a 5, you're in trouble. So it's about making sure that we are building our team by recruiting and attracting the right people, by empowering them, developing them, and then obviously pouring into them and connecting with them. And that leads us to the other habit, which is to making sure that you connect before you correct. When you're leading someone, and I call this a leadership habit, there are a series of leadership habits in the book as well. When you connect with someone, you then earn the right to correct them, but you got to connect first. And that's a great habit.
I love it. I love it. And guys, if you're like listening to this and you're connecting with what Jon is saying, I think what's so powerful about this book, Jon, is you've used this word a few times. It's a collection of habits. It's things that you've picked up off your life, but also I'm sure of just through your experiences. Like, guys, if you're not familiar with Jon's work, like Jon is working with some of the best coaches in the world: NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, athletes at the same level, and then companies, entrepreneurs, business owners. He's got an inner circle that he brings people into, some of the most influential entrepreneurs and business owners in the world that he giving access to him. And so he's had so much impact and influence from habits that he's seen that have worked really powerfully in other successful people's lives, and have brought this collection together that live in this book, The Power of Positive Habits. And I think it's just so cool how this all kind of melds together and it becomes this body of work that can serve you no matter what point of life you're in.
Yeah. I know you work with Brandon Lake, and he's working on his greatest hits collection. Obviously, every song he sings, one of those songs is going to probably make the greatest hits collection.
I don't know. It seems like everything he puts out is a greatest hit right now.
So right now, but over time, they'll be the ones that stand out even more. Well, this book, I would say, is my greatest hits collection.
It's great.
It's like a greatest hits collection of all my best ideas,
Yeah.
my best strategies. These strategies that have worked with the best athletes, the best coaches, the highest performers in the world, whether you're a corporate executive, a pro athlete, an NBA coach, an NFL coach. These habits have worked for all these coaches with their teams, with themselves personally, with their relationships. They've worked for me. So I took my greatest hits and put it in one book that you can then read in a very quick way, and you can digest and say, is this one for me? Yay or nay? How about this one? Yeah. And I bet you when you go back to the book a year later, you're going to find new habits that, you know what, I should try this now and do this. So I give you the reason for the habit, sometimes a story behind it, and then a simple way to implement it. But it's such a quick, easy read. Like you'll read a habit in about a minute, and we all have a time to read a habit. So if you do a habit a day, even a habit a day or 2 habits a day, you'll be done very quickly and you'll be getting new habits. But I have a feeling people are going to want to go through the book. They're going to read a bunch of the habits, and then they'll probably go back and then fine tune what they want to do. And going back to, your whole focus on holy health, I think they coincide so well because there's a spirit and essence behind these habits. I don't want you to just do the habit. I want you to do the habit for a reason, because it's meant to help you become who you're meant to be. Don't worship the habit. Amen. Worship the God that actually created these habits for us to live and breathe and do to become who we're meant to be. And I think that's the key.
I love it. I love it.
Go to powerpositivehabitsbook.com, powerofpositivehabitsbook.com. You go there, you can actually join our launch team and start reading the book right away and get a version that you can read right here, right now. When you join the launch team, you'll actually also get a free workbook. You will join us for our free workshop that we're doing virtually and live. So I'm going to teach you all about habits on this virtual workshop, and then you'll get the Positive Habit Developer. So we're giving you 3 incredible resources when you join us for the launch of this book. And anybody can join us, powerofpositivehabitsbook.com. Get started, get going, and read it before anyone else does in the world.
Amazing. I'm so excited for this, and Guys, I've read this book. I've read through it 3 and 4 times, not in its entirety, but in pieces going through it. And I think here's the cool thing. I hope this doesn't offend you because this is meant to be a
Yeah.
major compliment. Is I remember growing up, Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah.
And Chicken Soup for the Soul, my parents would get a new one all the time. And it was like Chicken Soup for the Soul for kids, Chicken Soup for the Soul on rainy days. It was like, oh, there are all these things, like massive bookshelf full of them. And what we would do after we would read them is they would be placed in the bathroom and they would become toilet readers because you can buzz through one of them in like
Right.
a minute or two.
Yes.
And that was literally my childhood from 8 through like 18 was reading them when they came home, and then just that was there. This book is the one that you will come back to over and over and over again and be a great book that sits on the kitchen table or sits in the dining room and you're able to buzz through really quick. People will come over and buzz through it and take a look at it. It'll be an amazing toilet reader. It makes so many things that you can do. It's just an awesome collection. And that's what I love most about it. And Jon, you're so gifted with words. You're such a gifted and articulate speaker. You're a communicator at a world-class level. And you've just been anointed for this in a powerful way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I thought you were going to tell the listeners that you read my books like Training Camp when you were in high school, and that's how old I am.
No, I wasn't going to say that, but that is also a true statement.
Yeah, how cool is that you actually read my books when you were in high school? When he told me that, I'm like, am I that old? And then you realize, yes, I am that old. But it was cool that you read Training Camp and Chicken Soup for the Soul and those books back then.
Energy Bus.
Yeah, which is awesome. This book would not have been as good as it is without you and your help and support. I have to be honest with that. Like the health habits you share with me were so helpful. We talked about sleeping. We talked about how to take a power nap and the right way to do that and how to actually get better sleep. We talked about the importance of lifting weights. Read that one on lifting weights. One of my favorite ones is actually taking walks after meals. Like, you know why that's so important, right?
Yep.
Those
Blood
walks
sugar
after,
regulation.
blood sugar regulation increases your metabolism. Justin, when I walk after meals, I'm addicted to it now. I literally, if I don't walk after dinner, I don't feel right. I walk after dinner every time now. I feel so much better.
Yep.
If I don't feel as good. But I feel like refreshed, energized. I go to bed, I feel lighter, less bloated when I take my walks after meals. So there's all these different habits that are so simple, and you're going to go, this is simple. Yeah, I knew that, or I knew this, or I knew that. But I promise, there's going to be great reminders, and there's going to be new habits that you actually haven't thought of. But there's going to be some habits you're like, yeah, my grandmother told me that, and my mom told me that. But guess what? You do them, and you get back to it. You're going to get back to your rhythm and the whole person, the healthy person that you were meant to be.
I love it. The Power of Positive Habits book.com. Be sure to go there. Be sure to dive in, get everything that's coming out that Jon has with that. And we all know, guys, tiny habits stacked and compounded over time help you become who God's called you to be. And that's what this collection and book has ultimately done. Some of Jon's best work, his best hits, all in one place. The Power of Positive Habits. We know success is different, so own your different. And we'll see you guys next week.